Now it's time for the strategists, the politicians. Joining me, Democrat Steve McMahon, Republican Todd Harris. I'm going through all the words up here because I'm trying to cut to the chase. Everybody knows who you guys are. Let me ask you let's all watch the Obama acceptance speech. This is a little point which I think tells us what's coming this Friday night in this hot debate. It's going to get personal.
If John McCain wants to have a debate about who has the temperament and judgment to serve as the next commander-in-chief, that's a debate I'm ready to have.
Wow, temperament. That's ripping the scab off because there's an whole issue about John McCain's temper. It's discussed. It's in the back room. It's talked about. In this column today, conservative columnist George F. Will wrote today, quote, "It is arguable that because of his inexperience, Obama's not ready for the presidency. It is arguable that McCain, because of his boiling moralism and bottomless reservoir of certitudes, is not suited to be to the presidency. Unreadiness can be corrected, although perhaps at great cost, by experience. Can a dismaying temperament be fixed?" This is the guy on his side. I mean, I assume George Will is going to vote for McCain, but boy, he's saying he doesn't have the temperament to be president.
How long do you think till that's in an Obama ad?
I don't think
36 hours, 48 hours?
I've ever read a George Will column that was complimentary of John McCain. He has huge problems with Senator McCain that stem around the issue of campaign finance reform, which George Will has been blasting for years.
So you discount this?
I'm not.
It's like this with you, like this. Just flip it off the shoulder kind of thing. And Steve McMahon, are you saying that this is going to be an ad? That George Will is going to be the street cred they need to make the case the guy's got a temperament problem?
Well, I think you saw it last week. I mean, he was basically lecturing Senator Obama at a time when most Americans expected him to act presidential. On the other hand, Senator Obama was acting very presidential. I think it's interesting what's going on here, Chris, because John McCain entered this thing as the Democrats and the Independents' favorite Republican. And he was the guy that everybody liked. He was a happy warrior. And he's become sort of a petulant, angry grouch in the course of this campaign. And Barack Obama,
Why did you
meanwhile...
just say grumpy old man?
I didn't say it.
You're in that territory,
a petulant, angry grouch.
So close to saying that.
And Barack Obama, on the other hand, has grown into his suit. He's looking presidential. He's ready to be president.
I never thought of you as being so. You're trying to talk like George Will, grown into his suit. That's pretty pompous.
Yes, professorial, aloof, elitist.
Okay, here's my thought. Okay, let's test this temperament. If you're Barack Obama, would you go into that debate for an hour and a half Friday night with Jim Blair and seize the opportunity to do the following? I don't think people running for president of the United States, commander-in-chief at a time of war with Iraq and potential war with Iran, should be singing old Beach Boys songs about bomb Iran as if it's Barbara Ann. It's a joke. Just rip the scab off McCain. Say, you've been out there laughing about war, chuckling about it. That's below a guy running for president. Is he going to take him on and say that? Stick it to him. Will he rip the scab off?
I think he may rip the scab, but he won't rip it off quite that frontally. I think what he'll try to do is get under Senator McCain's skin.
How?
And there's I think by
obviously?
little digs that might not be quite as overt as what you've just described, Chris. I don't think he's going to get very far by lecturing Senator McCain. Where he's going to get
mock him to get a man.
I don't think he'll mock him. I think what he'll do is he'll take little shots at him, and I think he'll talk about his judgment and how he had the right judgment on the Iraq War, and John McCain's been wrong again and again and again. And then he'll talk about, I think, this answer that we just saw in Hardball a minute ago, where John McCain standing there saying the country's in crisis, won't say how he would vote on the bill that might take us out of a crisis.
That was a great reporter's question, because I've been asking it for days now. If your vote was critical at giving this bailout passage, and will you say no? Because anybody can float out there and say how they're going to vote. John McCain will not say, by the way, that he'd save the bailout or not. He wouldn't answer the question.
I think it was a totally legitimate answer, because today,
what was his answer? Yes or no?
He said that he hasn't made up his mind yet. No, because look, today Senator McCain came out with 5 key principles that he wants to see in this legislation. He wants additional oversight, accountability,
everybody
transparency.
Wants everything. What if he doesn't get it?
Then I think his vote is on the table. If he does get it, then I think he'll support it. But if he doesn't get it, if what they're saying is we're going to ram through the $700 billion bailout with no oversight, no accountability, and no transparency, I don't think there's a single member of the Senate who ought to be supporting this. But there's no reason why we can't have this rescue and have the oversight and accountability and transparency that Senator McCain's calling for.
Can he stick him with this? Can Barack Obama, can he say, John McCain, you've been in the Senate for all these years. You've been in the Congress 26 years. You had plenty of time to play Teddy Roosevelt and ride your horse up to Wall Street and get the trust buster. You could be a trust buster. You haven't done it. And look what happened. You haven't done it. Why do you want to be president of the United States if you couldn't do it as a member of the Senate?
5 years ago, Senator McCain stood on the floor of the United States Senate and said we have got to create some kind of oversight agency within the Department of Treasury that will have greater regulatory authority over Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, because if we don't, we are facing a huge problem in our housing market, and it's going to cost the American taxpayers money. Congress did nothing. Now, are people right to blame?
What about all the eye bankers? They're the big time. Is he going after the eye bankers in New York, the Goldman Sachs, the Lehman Brothers, the big shots over there? Has he ever taken them on?
I know he's taking on oversight of Freddie.
Because it seems to me that's the issue. But anyway, you've got a good point, though.
That's one issue. The other issue is his top economic advisor, former Senator Phil Gramm, the person who said that Americans are a bunch of whiners when it comes to the economy, was the person who wrote the bill that deregulated Wall Street, that enabled all these lines to get busted down, and that created this mess. It's very nice that he gave a speech.
Are you saying he served his wine before his time?
I am. But it's very nice that he gave this speech about Fannie and Freddie. But the fact is that the underlying structural problems that we're seeing on Wall Street have something to do with Freddie and Fannie, but it has more to do with the fact that John McCain and his buddies in the Senate and the Republicans in the House haven't regulated Wall Street.
What about those underlying structural problems?
Okay, well, you're talking about this bill. It was shepherded through, yes, written by Graham, but also by Leach, who supports Obama, and shepherded through.
Politics. If you're recognizing, advising a senator or congressperson on the Capitol Hill right now, would you have them risk voting to bring down this bailout in the next week, or would you say you better vote for it in the end?
Vote for it and fix it later.
No. I would say get the concessions now. Make sure that it gets fixed.
Would you still vote against it?
Why can't you get it?
Would you bring down the bailout?
Why can't you get it?
Would you risk bringing it down?
Because you're one senator, Todd. That's why.
Are you willing to risk bringing it down? If you're a member of the Senate?
I think the bill needs to have oversight. I don't think you fix.
I guess you're not answering my question.
No. I would say.
Are you willing to bring the thing down and leave us without a bailout?
Yeah.
Well, that's nervy. You gave me the answer.
How are you going to fix? How are you going to fix the problem? How are you going to fix the problem created by no oversight by passing a bill that has no oversight?
But you're risking Armageddon, according to these people we just had on, Jim Cramer and Steve Pearlstein.
But these guys in the Senate, they know much more about the economy than those fools who do it for a living, don't they?
I think
they know more about it than you and I do.
Let's bring in Carly Fiorino. I think she knows more about all this stuff. Anyway, Steve McMahon, Todd Harris.